We all know the Emperor of Mankind and all his deeds and misdeeds and his aura and hype moments. But what I've been thinking about recently is out of all his sons and grandsons, which one of them are truly the most like Big E? So strap in your seat belts on your drop pod and prepare to stand in midnight clad. This is Who Are the Emperor's Truest Sons. Like and subscribe! Everyone knows about Big E. If you don't know about Big E and you're in the setting of 40K, you've been living under a rock on an orc planet with your fingers in your ears, because everybody knows about Big E. He is, as the name suggests, he's the self-proclaimed emperor of the galactic empire of man. He's the catalyst for the entire modern setting. The corpse emperor guides the Astronomicon, which mankind uses to get around the galaxy through the warp, and without it, they're basically doomed to suffer another age of strife all over again. This man has the strongest psychic potential in all of 40K. We've never seen a stronger psyker, and he has the power to nuke you into oblivion with his mind. He has the power to heal you. He has the power to regenerate your armor. He can read your mind. You don't know what his face looks like. His aura, like I said before, is ridiculous. He can perma-kill demons. He's a great geneticist. He's just such an overpowered character. He's also completely handicapped. So that's basically the kind of equilibrium. You kind of like balance him out. And everyone knows his downfall is mostly his own creation. We all know about the story about Horus, about how he got fucked up and now he's got to be interned on the Golden Throne. But in reality, it's his own fault, because he created Horus and he created the Primarchs, and he stole sacred fire or something like that from the Chaos Gods, and no one told him to go out into the galaxy and try to conquer it. So it's really all his fault. Well, let's compare some of his truest sons, and I've got a list of 3. And first, we're going to start with actually the only loyal character on the list, and he is a Primarch. Everybody knows your boy Robbo Gilliman, Robot Girly Man, Rob G, the man, and he's the avenging son, and that doesn't really have anything to do with Big E. He gets his nickname from actually avenging his stepdaddy on McCrag when they came and killed him. But I think Gilliman was the obvious choice. Gilliman's pretty much the obvious choice. They mentioned in one of the books that all of the Primarchs have different qualities from the Emperor. Russ has his savage nobility. The Lion has his exact resolution. Magnus has his psychic power. But what Gilliman has is his heart and soul. They both have in common that they don't really believe in like the warp and stuff like that, kind of like on some Fabius bio stuff. They're both like kind of atheists. Gilliman went through a character arc during Dark Imperium where he's starting to question that a lot, especially considering some of the things he's seen. Even during the Heresy, it's hard to question like what's going on with if there's other gods or if the Emperor is a god. But he's seriously got him questioning that, and I think that's one of the major things they have in common as far as their personality goes. Now, Gilliman is a lot more human than the Emperor of Mankind is, so I think that's just kind of where the similarities in their personality stop. Gilliman doesn't have any of the Emperor of Mankind's abilities, but as far as like psychically goes, but he has the same ability to build empires. Emperor of Mankind was able to consolidate Earth and throw together a very vast galactic empire in almost no time. So we can kind of see where how the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. As far as their goals go, I think that we're quite different. Emperor of Mankind was trying to raise up humanity, while Gilliman is just trying to like maintain what's left. Even back during the Horus Heresy days, like Gilliman was more concerned with bringing worlds to compliance to build this empire, and when he thought the empire was lost, he started building another one right away. So that's just kind of like his thing. Gilliman's idea to raise up mankind is through empire building, which is very sound. Gilliman's way more moralistic than the Emperor is. The Emperor was willing to do anything to achieve his goals, and Gilliman's not like that. He actually cares about humanity, which is designed to, and he wouldn't go through all the same things that the Emperor did in order to raise up humanity. Now, as far as the downfall goes, they have a kind of similar downfall. Emperor of Mankind had to have that fair one with Horus. I think it did need to happen, absolutely. It wasn't like just pride. It was like it literally had to happen. But Gilliman had a very similar downfall where he was chasing Fulgrim. and he somehow got baited into a one-on-one and got his throat slit. Now, it's true that Gilliman did come back, and he is running around the galaxy now, but that's ultimately they had this very similar downfall. Fratricide instead of patricide. They're still rhyme, so I think it still counts. Moving right along to my second on the list. So my second candidate for the son that's the most like the Emperor, and I don't know if this is obvious to anybody else or not, but Magnus the Red is so much like the Emperor of Mankind that it's not even funny. Now, I went with Gilliman as number 3, and they actually had a lot of differences. I would say like half of the things I named they have in common, and the other half sets Gilliman apart. But Magnus is so close to the Emperor that it's ridiculous. As far as their personality goes, they're almost the exact same. I would say the major difference in their personality is that Magnus is prone to sulking and self-pity and things like that, and regret, while the Emperor of Mankind doesn't really tend to regret shit. They mentioned in the Siege of Terra that he regretted not ever trusting his sons, but at the same time, you really just don't get that from him like you do from Magnus. But everything else about their personality, the arrogance, the assuredness, the like short-sightedness, even though they have the ability to see the future, that so ravening themselves by playing into their own psychic predictions, like they have all of that in common. And these two are like more like each other than they'll ever give each other credit for. Magnus the Red has the Emperor of Mankind's psychic abilities. Magnus is debatably, and I don't think it's debatable in my mind, I would argue any day that Magnus is the second strongest psyker in the setting. I don't think anyone comes close. I think Malkador is really good, but I don't think he touches Magnus. Even before demon form, Magnus is just made out of the warp. He's incorporeal, and in his Primarch book, they actually mentioned that Magnus was the first found. He was in psychic communion with the Emperor even since he was on Prospero. So that's, oh my goodness, that's his real son right there. Their goals are very similar too, but they were trying to achieve it in different ways. The Emperor of Mankind wanted to raise up humanity above their status and have them be the premier in the galaxy through not just empire building, but also through the webway and through the Mechanicus and through genetics, using the Astartes and things like that. But Magnus was all psychic might, and basically what he wanted was to raise up humanity psychically, which even as a demon he's still trying to do, which is crazy. But these guys have very similar goals, even though they're going about it different. Now the downfall is a bit different for Magnus. They do have some things in common. Now as far as like what they have in common is actually just dealing with the Chaos Gods in general. I would say one of the Emperor's Mankind's biggest mistake is actually messing with the Chaos Gods, making a deal with them in the first time, because they will come to collect. It just is what it is. You can't just make a deal with the Chaos Gods and expect them to not show up at your doorstep at some point in time, even individually. But Magnus did the same thing individually, trying to save his legion. He made a deal with Tzeentch, and perhaps the big difference is Emperor knew what he was dealing with, or at least he thought he did, but Magnus didn't. They looked at the warp as something different than what it actually was, and because of that, Magnus and his entire legion had to pay a price for it. But Emperor is not so different. Even though like Chaos didn't exactly get what they want, they kind of did. The setting of the universe is exactly what they needed, and Emperor has to pay the price for it, sitting on the golden throne suffering for 10k years plus. All right, so now down to the final son on the list, and this time we are not going Loyalists and we are not going Primarchs. We are going Traitor Space Marines, my favorite faction. And this is going to come at no surprise to you, but my favorite character in the setting right now is Fabius MF Bile. Fabius motherfucking Bile is the man, and he is the most similar to the Emperor of Mankind out of all his sons and grandsons. The big difference, I think, is in their personality. First off, is Fabius is way more snarky than the Emperor of Mankind is. Emperor of Mankind doesn't really talk like that. He's more of a piece or more of a plot device than an actual character. So you don't really get dialogue like that from him in the first place. But Fabius, no, Fabius is snappy and snarky, and he's sarcastic, and that's one of the things I love about him. So as far as personality goes, they're similar in terms of like their stubbornness and their disbelief in like chaos. Also, Fabius's denial in godhood, his own divinity, even though he's not like Emperor of Mankind. Fabius has a way more compelling argument for not being a god than Emperor of I Shine in the Dark, Jimmy fucking Space, actually has. So But at the same time, it's like, they're both wrong. As far as abilities go, I would say that Fabius takes second place to Magnus in terms of ability, similar to Emperor of Mankind, simply because that psychic power is like the Emperor's trademark. But most people, as you know from his creation of the Primarchs and the Astartes and all this stuff, genetics is actually his minor in college. Like, he is like basically one of the best geneticists in the galaxy. He's had help from other people and scientists along the way, but nobody's even close to that besides Fabius Bile. Fabius Bile is the master of genetics. He's cloned all of the Primarchs perfectly, and he's created a brand new version of mankind, and we'll get to that. But like, as far as like the genetics goes, oh my goodness, Fabius Bile is like his granddad for real. Like, and he's supposed to have Fulgrim DNA, but I see Emperor shining through more than Fulgrim, even because even Fulgrim didn't have this grasp of like the DNA helix that Fabius has. As far as goals go, once again, we are seeing another character whose goal it is to lift mankind up above its station so that it can definitely control the galaxy. And once again, we have someone who's going about it in a different way than the Emperor. Now, the Emperor is, Fabius probably has the closest method, because the Emperor was using genetics to take over most of the galaxy through the Astartes and through the Primarchs and stuff like that. Genetics is his, you know, it's his specialty. But on the other hand, though, Fabius is the same way. Fabius is basically creating a new version of man, which is extreme compared to what Emperor was trying to do. But basically, he's just taking all the flaws of mankind and breeding them out with Vatborn, like being susceptible to chaos and the weakness and like aging quick. And his societies actually thrive, according to the book Gene Father. So he's doing a pretty good job. So wow, how similar, but different. So Fabius's downfall is not necessarily a downfall. There are spoilers to Manflayer, so maybe skip ahead a few seconds if you don't want to be spoiled for Manflayer. But Fabius actually does become a minor chaos god or something weird like that. Prime Fabius with all the clones running around. So technically, in my opinion, Fabius never really had a downfall. If he did have a downfall, it's because he messed with the Dark Eldar and had to go to Slaanesh and Fulgrim for help. So in a way, it's kind of the opposite. He was trying his best not to get any help from Chaos, and at the end of the day, he kind of had to accept it. So in a way, his downfalls, if you can even say he had one, is kind of different from the Emperor of Mankind. So in a way, he's actually, I'd hate to say it, probably better. We'll see how this new man thing plays out. You know that the setting's not going to change for the bad guy to benefit unless it's like, you know, Black Legion wins. It's never going to happen. But I think Fabius wins. I'd love to see the new man. He's got clones everywhere. He's got, besides the orcs, he's got the best chance of winning. Oh, the Tyranids, of course. That was my video. Who do you think the truest son of the Emperor is? And it doesn't have to be anyone from my list. Please throw some ideas out there, because I'm sure there's other people that I missed, because I really didn't want to throw Robot Girly Man on the list. It's just that like he kind of like was the closest thing I could think of, and I wanted to have 3 people on the list. And I hope you enjoyed the video. So also don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm trying to build up this channel, and I really enjoy talking about 40K, and I really enjoy making YouTube videos. And even if I just have a few dozen of you along for the ride, that is enough to fill up my fucking chaos vessel. So until next time, this is Ave Dominus Noob saying Ave Dominus Nox.